is Rosalind Zacharias. I'm the Employment Specialist here for Steps to Success, and I'm here again for another workshop. Today we're going to be talking about Resume Building 101. Now before we get started, I want to go ahead and give you guys our contact information. You can reach us at www.lssjax.org. This is our location information right here, and you can also contact us at 904-730-8254 if you have any questions about our program or are looking to join our program. Alright, let's get started. So for this workshop, I really want you guys to be able to learn about the resume basics and some things that you can do to help you stand out to a recruiter. So what is the purpose of a resume? So the purpose of a resume is to help you get an interview, not a job. So that's going to be the first thing that an employer sees or a recruiter sees to see if you are the right fit for a position, to see if they want to interview you. So you don't get the job just by handing in a resume. It's to help you get that interview, to then potentially get that job. And it also shows an employer if you are qualified for that position that they're looking to fill. So in today's presentation, we're going to be talking about the sections of a resume. So this is just a quick overview of the things we're going to go into a little bit more detail about. So we're first going to talk about our header, then moving on to our objective/summary/skills section. Then we're going to be talking about experience, then moving into education, and then additional sections. So starting with the header. So the header is going to be at the very top of the page, and it's going to be basically your contact information. So it's going to be how your employer or recruiter is going to contact you. So what should be included in this section? So you're going to have your name, first and last name. You're going to include the city and state of residence. It used to be that they wanted your whole entire address, but now it's we've kind of phased that out a little bit, and now you're just needing city and state of residence so that they have an idea of where your location is. You're going to include a good email address. Make sure it's not any funky email addresses. Make sure it's a pretty professional email address with maybe just your name and a telephone number that they can best reach you at. And again, this is going to be at the very top of your page. Now moving on to the objective/summary/skills section. So in this section is going to be where you really get to personalize your resume. So right under the header, you're either going to have your objective, your summary, and your skills, and it's really up to you for what you think would be best for your resume. I'll go over a little bit of each one. So with the objective, it's going to be a short statement that basically describes the job title that you want and the main reason why you should be considered. So again, pretty short. It's not going to be anything extensive. You're just stating the job title. And then you have the summary. So the summary is going to be summarizing who you are and what you've done. You're going to include relevant and transferable skills and tailor this to specific job experience that you have, to the job that you're applying for. So this one's going to be a little bit longer, and this is more suited for people who have like a ton of experience that they want to highlight at the very top of their resume. And then lastly, you can choose to do a skills section after your header. So you can have basically just a bulleted list of your relevant skills and core skills for the employer to see. And not one is better than the other. It just depends on your personal preference and what you want to highlight. So next, we're going to be talking about education. So this is what's going to come next. You're going to list your degrees in reverse chronological order. So all that means is that your most degree is going to be listed first, followed by the rest. And you're going to put the name of the institution and include the city and state, as well as the name of your degree and major. So you're going to have, for example, bachelor's of blank in blank. And I gave an example here of bachelor's of science in business administration accounting. So as you can see, they provided you the degree that they got, the bachelor's of science, and the major that they got it in, so business administration, as well as their concentration, which was accounting. So a little bit of continuation here with education. You're going to be listing your date of graduation if that was pretty recent. You can also list the date of graduation if it's pretty close by, so your estimated date of graduation. So if you're about to graduate and you're starting to apply to jobs with your degree, and your degree is relevant to that, if it's pretty soon, you can put that on. If it's kind of far along, I would suggest probably not to put that just yet. And the education section is also going to be where we put our vocational education and high school education as well. So you're going to list any vocational diplomas, and if you are not a college graduate, meaning you didn't receive your high school diploma, if you didn't receive a college degree, you're going to go ahead and add your high school education on there, GED, stuff like that. So moving on to experience. So we like to use the word experience. And what is considered experience? So that's going to be any full-time or part-time jobs. Volunteer work can be placed here, and practicum. It's important for you guys to know that you don't have to be getting paid for it to be considered experience. There's a lot of volunteer positions and a lot of practicum internship experience that you can get, that you're getting relevant skills that you can add to this section. And information that you're going to want to put on here is going to be your job title, your dates of employment, so start date, end date, the company name, and the city and state. So when you're listing your experience, you're going to be putting in your responsibilities, so that job description type of situation. So with this, you're going to make sure you're using your bullet points. You're going to start each line with an action verb, and you're going to make sure that you're varying your choice of verbs. So don't use the same ones over and over again. You're going to tailor your skills and experiences to the position that you're applying for. You're going to briefly describe your role and accomplishments and quantify if possible. So employers love to see numbers, so if you're able to put numbers to your accomplishments while listing your responsibilities for a position that you've had, make sure that you're adding that. And you're going to make sure you're being concise while providing enough detail. Employers don't like to see a really long description, paragraph form, anything like that. Make sure it's nice short sentences, but obviously that provides enough detail to let them know what you were doing. And I wanted to give you guys some examples of ways to upgrade your action verbs. So I'm going to give you guys an example of a good action verb, so they are still pretty good, and how to elevate them just a little bit. So instead of saying responsible for, so again, still pretty good, we're going to use managed. Instead of did or met, we're going to say exceeded. Instead of talked to, we're going to say instructed. Instead of increased, we're going to say maximized. Instead of supervised, we're going to say directed. And instead of solved, we're going to say resolved. So again, these are all really great action verbs. I wanted to give you guys some examples of how to elevate them, but again, all of them are pretty great to use. So lastly, we're going to be talking about some additional sections. So usually a resume is about 1 page long. If you're still having a little bit of space at the end, you might think about adding an additional section. So you can add your volunteer experience here. If you didn't, if there wasn't any relevant skills in the top, you can add them here. You can add your awards and honors here, a little section about your awards and honors. You can add your skills section here. And also if you have any certifications, especially if you have any certifications that are relevant to the position that you're applying for, you're going to want to add that additional section there. So again, these are just a way to really beef up your resume if you have some extra room to fill. So moving on, I want to talk about some resume do's and don'ts. And starting with the do's, we're gonna give you some do's here. So we want you guys to use action verbs. So this is really important. Make sure that you're using those action verbs, and that you're varying them. They don't want to hear the same exact action verb multiple times, so that you're varying them. Make sure that you're using those elevated ones as well as much as possible. You want to be brief, concise, and clear. Again, they don't want to see paragraphs for responsibilities. Make sure that it's nice and clear. We don't want to have any fluff in your resume either. Make sure it's all stuff that's relevant. you're going to make sure you're quantifying your accomplishments as much as possible using percentages, using dollar rounds, any numbers that you can to quantify your accomplishments. Going to make sure that you are using consistent formatting. Make sure that all of your bullet points are the same bullet points and that they're aligned correctly and that you're using the same font all the way around. So just make sure everything is very consistent, because if it's not, it can make you look a little messy, like you don't have an attention to detail, things like that. So make sure that you're keeping a consistent format. Make sure we are proofreading our resume, and not just once, not just twice. Go over it a couple times, maybe go over it, leave it alone for a little bit, come back the next day and look over it. So just make sure that you're proofreading to check to make sure that you're not missing anything or that nothing is misspelled or things like that in the wrong order. And like I mentioned before, we're going to keep our resume to be about 1 page long. Recruiters and employers don't want to go through a packet full of stuff about you. They want to be able to get all the information by just looking at it quickly and then moving on. So some resume don'ts. So things we don't want to do for our resume: we don't want to use pronouns such as I, me, or my. The recruiter already knows that the resume is dealing with you, so you don't need to be mentioning those kinds of pronouns. Do not clutter your resume with non-essential information or hobbies. They don't need to know what you like to do on your spare time or other non-essential information, so make sure it's sticking specifically to relevant information for the position that you're going for. Do not use any fancy fonts or photos. Make sure we're sticking to the basic Times New Roman, and Arial, and 12 font's always a good place to be. And make sure we're also not using any weird colors or anything. Stick to the basic black. And this one's a really important one. Do not include any personal information. So don't put any social security numbers, age, sex, height, weight, marital status, photographs, anything. They're not needed at this time, and you don't want anything to be a factor in discrimination, anything like that. So if it's not necessary at the moment, we don't want to include that there. So we're going to go ahead and not include any personal information like the ones I just mentioned. So that is the end of our workshop today. So again, that was our Resume Basics 101, our Resume Building 101. If you guys have any questions, please leave them in the comments below, or you can private message us and we'll get back to you within 24 hours. Again, our contact information, you can find us at www.lssjax.org. That is our location information. And if you have any questions about our program, or if you're interested in joining our program, you can call 904-730-8254. And I want to thank you guys again, and please remember to press like on this workshop for me. All right, take care.